And welcome to Co-Play Media. We got my homeboy here, Demo. We got your boy here, D. We got a special guest here today, my man EyeQ.
Hey,
what's going on?
Man, I love that sound, man. I love that, man. Like that auto tune is awesome, man. I love it.
Thank you. Like, people really enjoy me doing this auto tune, so I was for a month just trying to figure it out. So I said, yo, I'm gonna do it with everything, right? Yeah. And I have not looked back since, but it is fun, especially when I can be like, we going live, we going live.
Yo, that is tight, man. That is awesome, yo.
It's like I am not EyeQ anymore, guys. I am Machine Head.
Machine Head. Yo, this is gonna be the future of podcasting right here, and just doing everything in auto tune. I'm telling you, man. Like that's gonna be the new thing. I bet you. Someone is gonna bite this idea. I put money on it.
That's all right. T-Pain did it first, so don't forget. T-Pain did it first.
You gotta shout out T-Pain, man. You know, definitely.
Gotta acknowledge the God.
Yeah, he made it popular. You know what I'm saying?
Technically, it was like Zapp and Roger, wasn't it?
Ooh.
Oh, okay, so
is that a history lesson?
I don't know.
Here's the thing, right? The version or the type of auto-tune is a little different, right? Because you got the dudes that have the dudes who really kind of came first, like the dude, I can't even remember his name, but he has a little tube in his mouth, right?
Yeah. That's how I remember it, with the tube.
Yeah, so literally what I'm using right now is not specifically tube based, right?
Okay.
And so the actual program or whatever that those dudes use, you know, are completely different. So when T-Pain was doing what he was doing, it wasn't necessarily the same technology, to the best of my knowledge anyway.
Right.
So the same way I can sit here and do this, and you see that it's literally routed through my mic, is like I'm routed through my I have something. You know what? Maybe I shouldn't be giving y'all the secret.
Yeah, I was about to say, don't give away the secret sauce.
Giving out the sauce.
You know what I'm saying? You're gonna make me go home and try and make it. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna go home and start playing with the auto tune. But
honestly though, T-Pain did do a lot of research, so you kind of gotta give him his props, because a lot of people don't do as much research on it as he did.
Right.
Yeah. To perfect it.
If you've been following T-Pain, that dude does his research on everything, right? Yeah. Like it's not just that. So when you talk auto-tune and the reemergence of it and the way in which they use it in the industry now, you can't, you know what I'm saying? You can't bring this up without bringing him up and saying he is the dude, you know, like that modern day brought it back, right? Yeah. Now, him crediting who he wants to credit, that's him. And his timeline saying, yo, I got this idea, or I did A, B, and C that followed this, right? But I got to give that man props, because I wasn't necessarily looking at the other joints and being like, yo, that would be fun. I was looking at T-Pain and being like, you know what? That is fun. You know, like,
it's fun to do.
Yeah, there are tons of people that use the sound, and even with auto-tune as a tool, right? What you don't realize is people, once they know or notice that it's a thing, they're quick to be like, oh, well, that person can't sing because they're auto-tuning. Well, you know,
T-Pain can sing.
He can't just sing. He can sing. Like, that man gets it in. However, you know, like even just the music that you hear today, right? A lot of it is auto-tuned, and you never even know that tuning was put on it, because for some, right, that's the usage of it. It's a tool to enhance, right? It doesn't mean that a person can't necessarily do a thing. Yeah, there are some people who can't, but even through doing this, right, I realized that I have to be so on point with my voice to make it do what I want it to do. So, like, to give you an example, I can just go,
that shit's tight. It's when you shift octaves. That's when it's kicking in. It kicks in when you shift octaves. Is that what's going on?
So for every person, right, like depending on how you use it, it's trying to correct you and keep you in a specific type of octave. Yes.
Gotcha.
Right. So that's why you hear it actively go. And then when I'm changing the key of my voice, it is it's reacting, right? So I like to look at it and say it's more of a tool to do the things that we want to do musically with it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I agree. And EyeQ, recently we were on your podcast and you were using the auto-tune sound, and you know what I'm saying, everybody seemed to be loving it. Can you tell us more about your podcast and what people can expect from it from the future?
Oh, well, okay. So we just decided to just start a podcast and be like, okay, I got so many friends and homies I like to hang out with. Yeah. Why not just, jump on and hang out with them and talk about what we want to, like it just felt good to hang out and not necessarily have like a predetermined thing where it's like, okay, half the time when I'm trying to figure things out, talking with people, you want to make sure you're not being disrespectful in any kind of way, or you're saying, or you're leading them in a direction that they don't always want to go, right? And many people I notice, like some of them think that makes good radio or it makes good, podcasting or whatever. And for me, it's more about the experience that I'm having with the homies, and I don't care what we talk about, right? I feel like conversations kind of happen a little bit better.
Yes.
You can go towards the things that you actually enjoy. Like we sitting here talking about auto-tune, and at the end of the day, it still feels like it's not necessarily being pushed in that like come on, auto-tune, give me something good.
It's more.
And today our sponsor is auto-tune.
Auto-tune.
Sponsored by auto-tune.
Yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying. Conversations definitely are more organic when you're just talking. And what I enjoyed about the show is like we were on there late night. That's the best time to talk right there, because it's kind of like your brain isn't really focused on the day, because the day is over. You just kind of dumping. It's like a download almost of everything you were thinking about,
And it feels real therapeutic. You know what I'm saying? Like it felt good just to sit there and not be able to, okay, well, let's do this. Like, no, let's just hang out and talk cartoons. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Let's talk anime, or let's talk whatever it is you happen to be into.
Exactly.
Like that feels so good.
That does feel good. Like it was just about enjoying the experience and enjoying each other and just kicking it. And that's one thing that I really enjoyed about it.
Kicking back.
So I feel like I missed a crucial opportunity. I should have been like, yo, it felt so good.
yo, man, that joint works, dog. That joint works, man.
Yeah, it took me a month to kind of really start to understand how this works. And I'm still just touching the surface, right?
Yeah.
There are still so many things that people do with this stuff that's so friggin' cool.
Yeah.
So I want to start experimenting with it. And for me, like I'm a hip hop artist, but I am jumping into singing and things like that a little more often. Mm-hmm. And I don't want people to think that I can't sing, because I can sing without an auto-tune or without any assistance whatsoever. However,
so you could join a church choir right now and lead it. You know what I'm saying? You can lead.
Immediately, I can do a solo right now.
You go ahead and do the sister act. You know what I'm saying?
No, believe it or not, it was one of my favorite movies.
I love that movie, man.
It's one of my favorite movies of all time. Like Sister Act and Sister Act 2, right?
Sister Act 2, yeah, with the kids.
I actually was a part of a choir at one point in time because I loved Sister Act so much. I went to school and it was like, yo, I guess we gonna join this choir now. It was after basketball season, so it wasn't in the way. I was like, I've always wanted to do this, and I'm gonna do this.
Why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
After seeing Lauryn Hill do it, everybody was inspired to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody was inspired to do it in that movie.
Yeah, like seeing Lauryn Hill in that movie was amazing, right? But there were so many other artists that I already knew of. Like one of my favorite artists was a woman by the name of Dee Dee, right? Now later on in life, Dee Dee ended up becoming the voice for Pearl in Steven's Universe.
Oh,
real?
Come on.
But before that, she was a part of a group called the Party, right? And I was a huge fan. Like, if you were ever a Mickey Mouse kid at any point, you know who Justin Timberlake is.
Yeah.
But the Party was actually like the group that came and made all of them, you know, like it was the group that preceded them, or not preceded, it was before everybody, right? And what made it so cool was, now when you look at it, you realize like they were the prototype for what made, you know, boy bands and girl groups of that era. You know, without the Party, there is no Justin Timberlake or Britney Spears, you know, like, or the people that came from the Mickey Mouse Club, you know, around that time, because they were the first. The difference with being the first is you ain't always acknowledged.
Exactly.
You always get like, you know, the spotlight, because they still trying to figure out things to that group. But they dropped, I think, like 4 albums, and I was a huge fan, right? Like, and I don't care. Like, I'm a kid in the hood having to fight with other kids. I like the Party, you know?
So I mean, was it more like pop music, or like what kind of?
I gotta look it up too. I'm like, the Party, I've never heard of it.
Real pop. It was real poppy, you know? It was really, really poppy. And they, at their specific time, they were big, you know? But once again, you know, like anything in fame, they kind of came down, and we didn't know what happened, and they all went in their different directions.
You know what? Like, looking at the picture now, I gotta say, they look cool. You know what I'm saying? Like, they look cool. Like, they got the black guy. I think that is the Asian chick, you know, kind of got the
multicultural.
Yeah, it's definitely multicultural. And they got style. Like, they got
front of so much, but they don't get the recognition and the love that they deserve, because they literally sparked an entire generation, an entire music movement, right? Because people saw what they had the power to do with what they did. You know, like, regardless of the outcome of them not sticking together and, you know, whatever happened behind the scenes, I feel like they need a lot more love and recognition, because most of the people you listening to today, right? The blueprint was them.
Oh yeah.
Blueprint was them.
Yeah.
Can we because I mean, there was other stuff I wanted to talk about, but I kind of feel what you're saying, EyeQ. And I kind of, one thing, like with Demo's experience in music and your experience in music, I kind of just wanted to go and jump into the meeting of the musical minds and just really just ask you a bunch of questions related to music, if it's cool.
Yeah.
And one of which, you know what I'm saying, is what recent music do you listen to now? Because I've noticed from listening, like on Tidal, I started listening to the playlists of other artists.
Yeah.
And those guys are the biggest fans of the hottest artists that are coming up. You know what I'm saying? Like they have that eye of noticing, you know, other folks that are coming up and coming out.
Yeah.
And I think it's just a thing with the skill of music, hearing sounds and just knowing like, oh, everyone is gonna love that sound right there. And I guess my first question is like, what recent music do you listen to right now? Or what albums or artists do you listen to right now?
Man, I'm kind of all over the place, dude. I listen to my friends, you know, like, because I think they are some of the best in the industry right now, big or not. Like, I listen to a lot of, if I had to say somebody first, I gotta think, right?
I mean, not in order, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to put you on the spot and be like, yo, which one of your friends is the most vicious rappers, you know what I'm saying?
Which
like,
one are you listening to the most?
Which one of your homies can rap for real?
Which of them is that person? No, but they're all amazing. But I think the first person I'm gonna mention is Maglo. And just because Maglo has been such an inspiration to me, and I love everything that he does. I love the fact that he also has artistic integrity. I love the fact that, you know, he cares about his brand. He cares about the type of music he produces. And I mean, I just think it's also brilliant. So if I'm talking about somebody first and foremost, it is definitely Maglo. And you know, he's killing it whether you know who he is or not, right? Like, and he does all his own production. Like, everything you hear is him. So Maglo, Oh Super is like one of my best friends. You know, well, they're both like my best friends, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Oh Super as an artist himself, they actually have a song they did called Never. And Never, on the low, is probably one of the biggest, you know, records to explode due to TikTok, right?
Oh yeah, yo, you can blow up with some TikTok, man.
Yeah.
Never has, like, I think they just hit like 11 million, you know,
Yo.
with no real like promotion, with no real nothing, right? Like
That's legit.
Yeah.
straight organic, and that's just on Spotify.
That's legit.
You know,
That's amazing.
talk about those dudes, but aside from the fact that they're just amazing musicians, and I think I love the fact that I got to see it as it was happening over time, right?
Mhm.
And to see them mature and change as artists, man, just makes me feel good inside. So,
Right. Would there be a song from Mag Low that you
Never.
would recommend?
never.
Never. That's the one to go for. I see it right there. I'm gonna play that later on.
Where is that joint? Don't get me wrong. There are so many other amazing, like just that project alone is insane, and I still listen to it. Other artists I'm really listening to and enjoying. There's a group, and they just got back together, and they're the homies as well. Lotus Cloud. I think they're
Lotus Cloud.
Yeah, Lotus Cloud. One of the two from Lotus Cloud, Leo, he did a project called Heel Boy, right? And I would call it more experimental than anything else. But
Okay.
what I like about it is I'm starting to see his individuality, right? And starting to see him like, and it's weird to me because I'm seeing him explore himself as a musician in real time, right? So every time one of his projects comes out, you know, like you can tell it's very personal, it's very based on his life, but I'm realizing that he's also discovering and exploring himself as an artist. And for me, you know, that has a lot of value past like whether I just simply like it or not.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking at a lot of artists like that. There's a YouTube rapper I really enjoy, Daddy Fat Snaps. He's a beast. I really enjoy his music, and I also enjoy watching him grow as an artist. So for me, most of the artists that I'm looking at now these days, I'm watching artists who are evolving, right? But Daddy Fat Snaps, he's not only growing at an amazing rate, you know, like there's also members that I love, you know, obviously from the MPC. So there's Mega Ran, there's Kadesh, who watching Kadesh right now kind of go on and start moving his career and changing up what he's doing, right? Going back to YouTube and watching him explore and grow through there. Watching the change of Richie Branson, right? Like, you know, that's the bro. But watching his evolution has also been inspiring. You know, Rand is always innovating. He's always changing. He's always, you know, doing something. But watching a lot of those artists that have come up with me thus far, you know, and mind you, there are so many I haven't even mentioned. It's just like you can take any artist from our collective, right? Any artist from the NPC and watch their growth or watch them as they've changed as artists, as they've gotten better musically. You know, like I'm loving everything that MC Omai is putting out, right? Well, he's just Omai now. Yeah, but I'm loving everything Omai putting out.
Is it Omai, like OHMI?
OHMI, yeah. You know, watching everything that these guys are doing, and the fact that they're my friends and my peers. There's another artist, man, that I saw many years ago, and I've been a fan ever since. Is an artist by the name of Locksmith. Locksmith is just a beast, right? Like, and watching his evolution has been great. So for me, I'm listening to a lot of my own, like a lot of the people in my circles, and just watching how they're growing and changing, and you know, it's very inspirational to me. One of my producers, Alex, man, Alex has a band, and even watching them and some of the things that they're doing has been amazing, just because I think that there are so many artists that just don't necessarily see enough eyeballs out there, but are amazing at what they do. Right. So like I do, obviously I do nerdcore music, and people do this thing where they're like, oh, well, I don't listen to hip hop, but I don't listen to rap music and I don't like it, but I like you. And it's just cool, dude. You
all right.
like hip hop music. That's what that means, right?
Right.
A lot of people don't necessarily go out there and do the work, right? So they don't like the stuff that's being force fed to them.
Yeah.
At the same time, there is so much music on an indie level that it's amazing, right? Like other artists that I love, Shinobi Stalin, Word Chemist, like the whole Beer Money Unlimited. They're consistent, they're good, and they've been doing what they're doing, right? Like there's so many artists just in Orlando that I could sit here and name that have just been doing what they're doing. Midas the Beast, friggin' let's see, E-Turn, right? Who's one of the most amazing MCs, and she's a female, right? But at the same time, I mean she's one of the best, because I need to highlight that in the fact that I don't mean the best female. I mean she's one of the best MCs that I've heard in a very long time, right? And sometimes we get so caught up in being like, oh, well, one of these femcs, or I hate that, like, because she'll eat food. Like as an MC, she will eat you. So please don't refer to her as anything other than greater than you are.
Yeah.
That's dope.
I mean, I definitely can agree with you that there's a lot of music out there that doesn't get heard, on the underground and indie level, that's not on the radio. Sometimes that's where the most talent is. You know what I mean? Sometimes that's where the most talent is. A lot of times the people on the radio, not to, take anything away from them, because most of them are talented, but when you get down to the nitty gritty of the art of it, a lot of those people are your best friend, or this guy that you kind of just ran into at a indie concert or something like that.
Yo, I'll never forget. There was a dude. This is when I was working in Atlanta. I was waiting. I was bartending, and one of the bar hops gave me like one of the best albums I've ever heard. You know what I'm saying?
Just slid you a disc.
Slid me a disc, you know what I'm saying? It was just like some of the, and it was just so honest, and it was just like in it, you could just feel the like, yo, just thank you for coming through. Yeah. And when I asked this question, I built up my own list of like, like I want to sound deep, or I want to sound knowledgeable. So I'm like, I listen to Quelle Chris, or I listen to,
and even they are still like, even he is still making great music.
Great music. I love that guy.
I can't not say their names. If you haven't heard Open Mike Eagle's project.
Open Mike Eagle, yes.
If you haven't heard his last project, what are you doing with your life?
Which one, the JoJo one?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Of course I've heard it.
If you have not, what are you doing right now? You know what I'm saying? Like, go get that. Go get it right now. If you haven't heard like Substantial's last 2 projects, right?
Substantial, yes.
Talk about everything before that. But if you haven't heard his last 2 projects, what are you doing right now? What are you listening to right now? I need you to stop what you're doing. Stop right now and go get those albums.
Everybody's listening to trash, man. It's a lot of it's trash.
I'm not even gonna, at this point, I'm not even gonna call it trash, right? People have their tastes in music, right?
Yeah.
And one man or woman's trash is another's treasure. I don't necessarily like something to find the beauty or even like why somebody might dig something. However, like I'm not gonna sit and say that I don't think this over here is brilliant. Like I may not dig that so much, right? But I don't want you to feel like you can't enjoy, what I think is your trash music.
So here's the thing though. Here's after listening to music and just kind of talking to people, right?
Mm-hmm.
About why they like the music that they like.
Yeah.
A lot of people aren't necessarily listening to the artist. They're listening to
The producer.
production.
Yeah.
It's a lot of times it's the producer or whoever made that beat that's really the person that they're a fan of. It's not so much as
what I call BS.
Sometimes
right?
you don't think that there's ever somebody who listens to a song because it's Pharrell?
You know what? Like, people listen to Pharrell because Pharrell is Pharrell.
Pharrell is Pharrell.
Pharrell is Pharrell.
But when people are like, "Oh, I don't even listen to the words," I call BS.
I hate when people say they don't listen to the words.
So here's my rebuttal to that, though.
I don't want to say, "Oh, go ahead."
So here's my rebuttal to that, because I've been that guy, right? I was like, yeah. But sometimes I do listen to the words, and then I'm like, this song was about nothing.
Nothing.
You felt some kind of way later on when you wasn't trying to get into a vibe and you was in regular life again.
Mm-hmm.
But you go to the club, right? You can't sit there and, like, people act like it's bad to just simply say, yo, I like it because it's trash, right? I like it because it's ghetto. I like it because it's ignorant. Because you know what? It's okay. At some point in time, maybe that's just where you vibing at, right?
That's what you feel.
And that's true.
That's what you feel.
And I tell people all the time, I like old Mary J. Blige. Old Mary J. Blige is so unpolished that it's great.
And raw, so to
it's
speak.
Raw. It's just raw.
And it makes you feel good. And that's okay, right? Like there is a time, a space, and a mood for everything.
Yep.
When I look at music nowadays days, a lot more so, right? I may not like the content, but sometimes I realize it has nothing to do with the wording, and it's everything with the mood. So the question is, what is your mood music, right?
Everybody's depressed now, man.
I mean, is there any music that you would recommend or that y'all listen to? Like, who do I listen to when I'm sad? What's his name? Coda? What is it? Coda the Kid?
You listen to Coda when you're sad?
Coda is the most uplifting rap music, you know what I'm saying, that I can listen to. Just be positive, you know what I'm saying?
Got you. Okay.
Don't mess with this stupid stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't mess with. You know, when I'm sad, I want to listen to something uplifting, but I don't want it to be cheesy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want it to be. Yeah. I don't want it to be like, you know what I'm saying? Like, super happy fun time. And I remember I was listening to Lupe Fiasco, and I'm a big fan of lyrics. Like, I think lyrics are very important. And like, I remember it was a great song, and it was the first time that they explained to me what a manila was. And I didn't know what a manila was. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like listening to it, like as they're talking, and it was like super sad. It's like, oh, manila, like the thing that they use as like a form of trade, of slave trade, you know, which is like the collar that they put around you.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's deep. And I was like, oh, but I don't want to listen to that right now. That's not, I don't want to, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to listen to that.
I'm not in that kind of headspace right now, Lupe.
You know.
Yeah, you listen to Lupe when you trying to think a little bit.
You listen to Lupe before a riot.
Yeah. For me, there are different moods of Lupe though, right? Like, depending on my mood, it's a Lupe album, right? Yeah. Like, you know, when I'm thinking, I might pop into Cool because it gives me a certain feel, right? You know, like when I'm just mad or I just need inspiration. Why can't I remember the name of the album? But the very last album he did, which was super brilliant, man. Negroes Under the Sea. You know that was brilliant. And he compared it to his record label, which was like Atlantic or something at the time. Amazing, dude. Like,
brilliant.
I still find myself, right? Like, I may not have mentioned Lupe, but I still listen to Lupe hard body.
You have to. You gotta go back to Lupe sometimes. Like Food and Liquor.
Yeah.
Food and Liquor is
found it, bro. Like, once again, Lupe though, I have many moods of Lupe. You know, it's just kind of like I even have like his old school joints from back in the day, like his mixtape joint.
Revenge of the Nerds.
Oh man, Revenge. Oh dude.
They all have different feels for me, so it's just kind of like I can immediately hear a song from one of his eras, right? And it's just kind of like, nah, I'm not that Lupe today. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
True. Like, there should just be a drawing where somebody does the many moods of Lupe. You know what I'm saying? And
that would be tight.
That's true.
Lupe, or is this kick push Lupe? You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
It does it for me. But yeah, even down to that, have you guys heard the soundtrack to Yasuke?
Yasuke done with Thundercat?
Yes.
Absolutely, I have. Of course I have. I be playing games to it.
Thundercat, Flying Lotus, man. That's one of the best combinations you could put together right now.
It is very melodic. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and I'd be wanting to rap to everything on it. I'm just like, look, I might as well just start rapping to this stuff now. Oh, you know what? Perfect. There's an artist by the name of so if you've ever heard of the Super Soul Bros, right? There's an artist, Robbie, and Robbie goes by Gwobs on his own, right? GWOBS, I believe. And he did a project that was about filing your taxes. So it was like chill beats to file your taxes.
What?
Yeah. And
chill beats to file your taxes to. Someone is going to enjoy this. Someone is going to enjoy this right now.
That is, see, it's stuff like that that's genius, right? That's genius to me.
And it was dope, right? Like when I sit and hear him as you know, like one part of the Super Soul Bros, they're insane. But listening to his music, his own music, his produced music where it's just him, like, I don't know, like it hits me different because I feel like I'm seeing all of these people in their solo projects as them, right?
Yeah.
Or who they are striving to be, or sometimes who they see themselves as. And so that blueprint of it all, seeing the artist versus the music, and you know, my feelings towards it and what I think, to seeing the humanistic side of it, I don't ever think I'll get tired of that. You know.
Yeah.
Can I ask you both this question? Dead or alive, based on their music and the projects that they've done in the past, who would you guys want to do a feature with?
Ooh.
Be a feature on, you know what I'm saying, with
Dead
any
or
artist.
alive.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's hip hop. Hip hop, you could do with anybody.
Because I don't have just one.
I'm down for the list. I'm down for the laundry list.
Okay. First person on my list is Black Thought.
Black Thought.
Black Thought is the first person on my list, mainly because I've been rocking with the Roots since I was a kid, right? And when you talk,
C 2.0 was brilliant,
dude. When you talk about MCs and kind of like watching them evolve over the years, right? Black Thought is like, he is not only your MC's MC, he is like, he's that dude that is able to transcend one type of hip hop.
Yeah.
Jump in the type of hip hop you do and make it sound just as good, if not better than you.
That's fact.
I agree with you on that. I agree. Like, you could be hood, you could be preppy, whatever kind of rapper you identify with, everyone's gonna look at Black Thought and be like, yeah, I respect him.
Yeah. I would happily work with him. Another person on my list, of course, is Lupe, right?
Yeah.
Lupe's on the top of my list. Substantial is also on my list.
Substantial, absolutely.
You know, Ran is on my list, but I have worked with Ran.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
The only reason I'm not gonna put him in the list right now
is because you did it.
Yeah, we've already done it.
We've done that.
Other people that I would just love. I mean, who isn't gonna say Common? So I'm gonna leave
Everybody
that.
says Common, yeah.
Everybody wants to work with Common.
Yo, Common has transformed so much from when he first came out. Now, I didn't catch him when he first came out, but to where he got when he was doing the album B and what is it, Electric Circus?
Oh yeah, B and Electric Circus. I really enjoyed B. That song
yeah,
Go.
Like, that was, I think all those are like post Erykah Badu. you know, albums. You know what I mean? But before, it's like, I like that. I like being able to see an artist evolve. You know what I mean? And it's always interesting to see what they evolve into.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Demo, who would you do a feature with if you could choose anybody?
If I could do a feature with anybody, top 3, I'm gonna say number 1 is Jay Electronica.
Huh.
Jay Electronica is like, to me, this unicorn, right? You know he exists, but he only comes out
like once every 300 years.
Once every 300 years. But when he does, it's so amazing. It's like, this was worth the wait. I'm still mad that I had to wait this long, but I'm not mad at it.
So you're gonna laugh because I have a Jay Electronica story. Okay, so I listen to Jay Electronica, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen an actual picture of him at this point in time, right?
Yeah.
Now I've seen a picture of him, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Many years ago, I was at A3C, right? And I'm hanging out with who was there at the time? Illmind. And me and Illmind at A3C, because Illmind used to host the beat battle. So we'd always talk trash to each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we talk about who was going to win the beat battle. So this year, there was 2 years in a row where my man Marcus Banks was there and he was participating, right? And I'm like, yo, I put my money on my man Marcus because Marcus is amazing and Marcus is going to win this. So I'm talking crap to him, right? The next year comes, Illmind is there, and the guys from what was the name? It's a really popular podcast, and I'm sorry, I'm brain farting.
Joe Rogan's podcast?
No, Think Hip Hop.
Drink Champs?
No. It was Reggie and Dallas Page and Premium Pete. And they had a huge podcast. I'm blanking on the name of it right now, right?
Okay.
But pretty much, I'm talking with those guys. I see Illmind, and I go over and I'm like, yeah, my man Marcus is gonna take it this year, and blah blah blah. And we go back and forth, right?
Okay.
We're all talking crap, and another dude comes over, and he's just real chill, real cool. And I don't remember how we started talking, but we just started going back and forth, and we chill. We go over to the bar, you know what I'm saying? He wants to get a drink, and the reason why I gelled with him so hard, like right away, he had on the medallion, right?
Okay.
So I thought that this dude went out and got a Jay Electronica medallion because I knew the medallion, right?
Like, yo, your Jay Electronica medallion is tight, man.
Yeah. I'm like, look, you rock with Jay Electronica, then I know that you and I can have a good conversation. I know I rock with you already, right?
Yeah.
So cool. So we're talking, we're going back and forth. The whole time, this dude was Jay Electronica. So when a person comes along, right, and offers him a drink and blah, 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 and I saw that guy a couple of times or whatever, and the dude, every time he sees me with another artist. So he's like, man, what do you do? And I go, man, I'm just a regular dude. I'm just chilling. You know what I'm saying? So literally, Jay gets his drink or whatever, and he goes, the guy says something to him, and he's just like, yeah, just 2 regular dudes. So literally,
that's tight.
That taught me a lesson. You know what I'm saying? Jay Electronica taught me a lesson that I would literally take with me for like the rest of my life past that point, right? Just like at any point in time, that you never forget that we all just want to be regular people.
Just want to be regular.
No part, of this happening, does that actually stop happening? And that literally was just like 2 weeks later, right? Because it didn't occur to me right then and there he was Jay Electronica.
Ooh.
I'm an idiot, right? I was just happy to chill with him, and he was just a cool guy.
He is a cool guy, yeah.
So I am watching, like, I think it's BET, right? And there's some type of rap awards show.
Yeah.
I see Common, right? Common is on. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna watch this. and Jay Electronica gets on the stage, and I go,
mind blown.
Like, I seen that guy.
Like, hold
That's
up.
that guy.
Hold up.
Rocking
That's
the Jay Electronica medallion.
Jay Electronica medallion guy.
Never a Jay Electronica fan. He was Jay Electronica.
Wow.
That's
I mean,
he is.
So
That's dope. That's a super dope story.
What makes me appreciate Jay Electronica is like his first song that he really blew up off of, that Exhibit C track, was so real and so
gritty.
It was like you were poor with him while you were listening to that song. Like, that's the type of music I love. Like, I'm there with you going through it, and you put it to this dope beat
that just matches everything precisely.
Like authentic music. But then Jay Electronica is the first guy I would love to do something with. But then the second, I gotta go with my dude MF Doom. Always wanted to do something with Doom. Doom is like, Doom was a brilliant guy. I think I would appreciate doing something with Doom just off of what he was. You know what I mean? Like, he's still a mysterious guy. You know, he has his antics.
Still a Marvel villain.
And he's a Marvel villain in real life. Like, and the way Doom rhymes was so strange at first. It's almost like you got to continue to listen to him to get him. And I feel like I devoted so much time to Doom that is like, that's one of my top 5 artists, dead or alive.
Dead or alive, he's up there?
He's on that list. He's on that top 5 list.
I haven't mentioned anyone on my dead list, just my alive list.
Oh, what's the dead list?
What's the dead list?
Of course, DMX. Of course, everyone's gonna say DMX.
Nah, I'm not gonna say DMX.
Oh, okay.
No, only because I enjoyed DMX for who he was and what he was, right? While I think we would have made dope music, the only reason he's not on my list is just kind of like, I kind of loved him for what I knew, right? It's just like Tupac. I love Tupac, and he's on like, you know, my top list. But to be honest, I enjoy him so much for what he did, I wouldn't want to work with him, right? Artists that I when I was you know, coming up, one of my bucket list artists is now, I'm like, you know, while he's somebody I would have loved to work with had he been alive, I'm okay with not like wanting to now, or not touching the things that he's done. Is Nujabes, right?
Yeah.
If I was in the right place, you know, like that entire movement, all of those dudes were people that I would want to work with. But I also love what they do so much that I'm like, I'm just happy it happened.
Yeah.
And like, at the end of the day, I'm just happy because there are no artists like me, you know, or even Sky Blue without dudes like them, right? Yeah. And so I'm just happy they even existed. I'm just dudes like another person on my list would have been Dilla, of course. But of
course, everybody should have to work with Dilla. I feel like working with Dilla should be a rite of passage.
Yeah, in hip hop,
being a great in hip hop.
Yeah.
And you look at it, right? And it's just like the thing that I realize about my dead list is that I'm okay not working with any of them. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm just so grateful they happened.
I'm not. If I find a Dilla beat that I like, I'm always going to record, and I do. Anytime I come across a Dilla beat that I'm like, if I can find an instrumental to this, I'm going to rap over it. I do it. I do it every time. You have to. It's hard not to write to his beats and production. To me, it's hard. Anytime I'm listening to something that Dilla did, my brain starts working. His work just talks to me.
Yeah. Well, there is a artist who lived in Florida as well, that I was a really big fan of, and I wanted to work with him, and I never got to. I never got to know him as well as I wanted to. Is an artist by the name of Peyton Locke.
Peyton Locke.
Yeah, Peyton Locke. Peyton, I think, was just, he was one of those like gems, right? That not everybody got to see. You knew that he was just an amazing artist. And I was lucky enough to see him perform. You know what I'm saying? He was amazing. And then there's him. There's Willie Evans Jr. Willie is alive though. You know what I'm saying? But he's still on my list of people that I'm like, look, I just think Willie is amazing. And he actually, you know, him and Peyton were best friends. I know of Peyton through Willie, right? And it just, man, the hip hop that they make out there, Duval County, is unlike and some of the best in my opinion on this planet. And I've been around, right? But you can listen to anything that those dudes do in their period. There's another dude he works with. He worked with Peyton. Is Eden, and all of those guys in their collective were just kind of amazing, right? And a lot of the artists that I found around them were just insane. So if you pick up something like Trust, you know, you will love them. They had a group called Azimuth at one point in time, and Azimuth was amazing. You know, like everything that comes out in whatever form from any of those dudes has just been stuff I've never forgotten, and that I still actually actively rock, right? But for me, once again, you know, like I'm mood music, so it's where I am. I also listen to a lot of Korean hip hop. And that Korean pop, man, that K-pop is snapping, dude.
Nah, he said Korean hip hop.
Korean hip hop?
Yeah. Not just pop. You know, like a lot of people jump on the pop bandwagon.
Yeah, the BTS's and all that good stuff.
But there are so
Korean hip hop?
Yes, there's Korean hip hop, there's Korean like soul music. I listen to a lot of it.
Korean soul is amazing.
So I want to talk about your event coming up, but y'all got to put me onto this hip hop real quick. I need y'all to put me onto that. I want to know about that.
I need to be put onto the hip hop part.
Yeah, I need to be put onto this Korean hip hop because there's this restaurant I always go to, and I guess they're always playing. I thought it was Korean pop. Like I thought that was just their pop music, but maybe it's hip hop. If that's a thing. Like I didn't know.
Yeah, there are a couple, right? So I'm gonna start with kind of like my top artists and kind of what pushed me down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, that's a rabbit hole for sure right there.
Yeah. I guess it starts off with a group called Epic High. Now Epic High is now, back in the day, they used to be a group called CB, was it CB Mass, I believe? Yeah, CB Mass became, I believe, what is Epic High. And so Epic High, they're actually pretty known in the States now these days. But I used to listen to a lot of music that they would put out. There's another group, there's Drunken Tiger, there's Epic High. My favorite actual rap group was a group called the Dynamic Duo. And they're amazing, watching them change over the years. They even, in like, you know, I'm in the States, right? And I found out they did a joint with Premier and I lost it. I was like, yo, they finally making it out here.
Yeah.
When you're doing a track with Premier, life is going direct.
Yeah, that's another one. That's another one up there. It's like hip hop. Are you really hip hop if you ain't worked with Premier?
It's a good question. And if you don't aspire to work with Premier,
Right.
Yeah.
Like you need to be trying to get to Premier if you know, you can't be sealed and signed off on if you ain't worked with certain people.
Yeah, dude. They're just certain people. And for me in Korea, those are the people for me. But my favorite artist is a woman by the name of Tasha, right? And what is it? I believe it's Yumi Ray. I believe it goes by Yumi Ray now. But her and the lead rapper Tiger JK, they got married, right? Like, so the illest dude in the hip hop game in Korea married like the illest woman in the hip hop game in Korea.
Wow.
I just thought that was the coolest thing. Like,
Super union.
Yo, so that's couples goals right there. You know what I'm saying? That's big goals right there.
yeah, you know, like she actually had the number one Korean what was it, R&B album and the number one hip hop album at the same time.
What?
You know, like she was that ill.
She like the Korean Lauryn Hill out here.
Yeah, Korean Beyonce.
But yo, she's done some of that stuff before some people that you think, right? It just wasn't here in the States, so people they don't know who she is or what she's done. But there are so many artists, man. There's a dude named Dean who I think is dope, right? And he does kind of like how would I call it? I call it soul music. You know what I'm saying? Like there's Dean, there's a group called Primary, and Primary is amazing. Like I like most of the things that they do. There's another dude named Cold, like COLDE.
Cold.
He is exactly that. He's cold. Like I love his music, right? So I find myself just kind of going everywhere just because inspiration hits me everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, I listen to a lot of video game music. I listen to a lot of anime music as well.
Yeah.
Right? So for me, like these questions become long essays, and I always feel bad because it's like, look, I could talk about this stuff forever, but there are so many people that I'm gonna leave out that don't think that, like, you know, like, well, man, he said this person and didn't think about me. It's like, nah, bro, I think about you all the time. I listen to music. You know, I could talk about T-Pain for days, right? However, in this stuff, I sometimes think about the people you may not necessarily hear or know or listen to, and just being able to expand those horizons, right? From Drunken Tiger and CB Mass came many different artists in Korea that I listen and still listen to this day, right?
Yeah.
That I would have never heard, but because they collaborated, right? We could go to Japan, and in Japan there's a group called M-Flow, and I've been listening to them since I was a kid, right? And through M-Flow, I came to know so many amazing Japanese artists, right? Like even before I knew who Nujabes was, right? I knew who Taku Takahashi was, you know, because I listened to so much of their music. And there's an artist by the name of Crystal K, right? And she's amazing and still putting out music to this day. So, you know, there are so many people. The other thing is, yo, she's a person of color, right? She sings in Japanese, and she's part Japanese, I believe, Korean, and black.
How
Nice.
do you not know about this?
You gotta know about this. You know, we all see. I don't know if you hear us like writing it down and like typing it out, because I'm like trying to Google everything while we're talking about it.
Yes, like for me, right? I was immersed in this world since I was young. And so I was always looking for the next thing or trying to find something I thought was good, right? Through Tasha, there was an artist she did a song with that I could never stop listening to. And it was a dude named YDG, right?
YDG.
And then there was another dude named Bobby Kim. And Bobby Kim kind of does soul music, right? But it's those introductions, right? When you're saying, okay, well, I like a certain thing, those are places to start, but you also have to have the will to find it, right?
Exactly.
Because now
Exactly.
you have no real excuse, right? If you're just listening to the radio, it's because you want to.
Yeah.
So that's why when people are like, oh, well, you know, all of this trash that I hear, it's just kind of like, then you ain't looking, bro.
Yeah, you're not looking. You're hearing what's on the radio and going with it.
That's how I stumbled upon like that Japanese city pop that 19 music from the 80s. It's like, this stuff is amazing.
Yeah. It's amazing. And there are newer artists that are emerging that are super dope.
That are still amazing.
If you can't find it, man, it's because you didn't look.
You gotta look. You gotta be willing to fall down the rabbit hole.
Yeah. I don't want to shift the conversation because I'm enjoying it, but I do want to bring up something that I feel as if is big and important to us before we go. I know that you are starting a Juneteenth festival. Could you please tell us more about it? What inspired you to do it? Will it be virtual? All that good stuff.
Okay, sure. So we're doing a thing. It's called Bites and Beats Fest, and it is a festival that is composed, that is made up, by people of color, for people of color. Mm-hmm. And when I say that, I don't mean there won't be people who are not allies.
Right.
I want to celebrate cultural diversity in education, and celebration. Right? I want a reason to celebrate other artists that are amazing, that are out there that you may or may not have heard. But I've been doing, I've been doing some music in the con space for a long time. And one of the things that you sometimes see and you don't understand to a greater extent is like being a nerd now is becoming more and more cool as time goes on, right?
Yeah.
But when I first started going to the scene, I didn't see anybody that looked like me. As time went on, I started seeing more and more people that looked like me and more people that were into what I was into. But it's been a thing where even when I do some of these bigger cons and things of that nature, I never ever feel like representation is as important to them as it is to me, right? And so even in some of these spaces in which I book, right, it's been a thing where, I'm surrounded by white people that are telling me, what representation should look like or how it should feel or why my opinion isn't necessarily as important because, they feel something. And I get tired of that sometimes.
Yeah.
In this space, there's nobody who does what I do better than me. And I'll say that publicly because I mean it. There's nobody that books music in this space, right, for this type of audience that is better than myself. And I've been at it.
I would agree with him.
As an artist, I've been at it as a talent booker, as a show producer. I've been on the side of being media. I've been on every side of this. So it's something where my view is not only uniquely mine, it is the view from many different perspectives. And so I wanted to do something where I said, look, there are so many artists around this country that I see all the time, that I do things with, that I've seen from afar or whatever. And I want to make something where for once the focus is hip hop, right? Whether it's hip hop and video game music or whatever, there'll be other types of things that is not hip hop. But the stereotype you see the most is it always happens around hip hop. Because people will say they don't like the music, but the code behind that is they don't like the people that make it.
Yep.
And that's the thing that is not culturally acceptable to say, is that I don't necessarily like the people that make this music. So it becomes, I don't really rock with this too much. And like I told you, with the internet, there's no excuse. There's enough space and places that you can find anything that you seek at this point in time, right? Maybe harder, but putting in the work is important. So I felt like this was an important thing to do because I would like to see more representation, but I would like to inspire more artists that look like me to continue down the path that they want to go and may not feel like is acceptable, right? Because there are so many of us now. And so having a thing that is for us and by us and celebrates not just us, but the education to us, to other people, the representation of us to other people that may have a stereotype or a view that isn't necessarily what we want it to be or what we are, right? And I just wanted to, for once, start to control what that narrative looked like, and not have it always be something that's determined by somebody else to make a decision that doesn't affect them and theirs as heavily as it affects me and mine.
That's super real. You know what? I really agree with the inspiration that you have for the festival. You know, it is enlightening to hear, because, you know, when I think of somebody who performs at these cons and these events and everything, I'm thinking they just, you know, they roll out the red carpet, you know, they give you the whole like, hey, you're fantastic. Hey, do whatever this guy says. Get him the green M&Ms. He wants a bowl of green M&Ms. You know what I'm saying? We got to give it to him. And it's refreshing to know that that it's not like that, and that there is still growth for us to take. And me and the guys, we were talking about this because we wanted to sign up for the panel, and after talking to you that night and see what you were interested in and what you were trying to do, we had to ask ourselves the question, and I guess I'd like to ask you as well, is like, in your opinion, what makes a good panel? Because we wanted to discuss that too, because it was like, well, we want to talk about diversity, we want to talk about equity, we want to talk about inclusion, we want to talk about ways that people can do things that they love, and ways that they can make money doing it. I want to see inclusion in video games and the anime. I want to see it in the media that people are consuming. You know, how do we turn that into a good panel? And what, in your opinion, is the constructs of a solid panel? Like, every good panel has this.
Well, I don't necessarily have constructs for it, to be 100 with you,
Cool.
right? First and foremost, you have to have a love for the thing that you do. Like, first and foremost, you have to love what you do, whatever it is, because that is what the people that are going to come and see you are going to take, right? They're going to take your pain. They're going to take your love. They're going to take your feelings and your emotions on a thing, right? And as much as we don't want to be the role model for everything of something that might, you know, reference us, it is very important to understand that the first thing that we can do to fight, I think if you hear something loud in the background, that's my neighbor's really loud car.
It's okay. It's okay. It's cool. It's cool.
But I think it's really important to be authentic in what you do, right? Because also sugarcoating or changing something to make people accept you the way you are because you're more like them, I'm tired of seeing that too. So I think, for me, the things that are important, is it not hurting anyone, right? Like, is it inspiring someone? Is it lifting someone up? Is it teaching someone, right? Like, is it something that you internally wanted or needed to talk about, right? And so for me, I have a thing now where it's like, when I reflect, it's more like, is this something that the younger me needed? Is this something that the older me needs right now, right? Is this something where someone out there who might need to hear it needs to hear it? You know, like on social media now these days, you know, at first, when I got on social media, it was all about, oh, well, I want to post a picture of this. And it went from posting pictures of things that I enjoyed, right, to me posting pictures and things where I'm like, well, man, I need proof that this was a thing. And I need, you know, like, everything was about the validation. And then after a while, you go to the next point where you feel like, yo, I don't need validation more than anything else. I want people to see snapshots of my thoughts and not necessarily everything else that I can, you know, manufacture or whatever. And when I'm looking back on it, sometimes, man, I needed to see a snapshot of my thought. I needed to see my thought process in comparison to where I am, right? So when I look at things, for me, it is a culmination of all of those things, but most importantly, man, is it uplifting someone, right? Doesn't always have to be specifically this type of person either, right? So I just think it's important that we are educating people, that we are changing what that stereotype looks like, and that we are creating a narrative that is for us, from us, and by us.
I love that.
So that would be my answer to you, is kind of, you know, roundabout.
No, that's not roundabout. That nails it. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, like that is the construct. Like, is it uplifting people? If it's uplifting, if it's uplifting of folks, then it can't be wrong. And I think that we can take that and we can head into a really good direction with that. One more question I'd like to ask about the festival is, in what ways can people reach out and help with, like, volunteer as well as participate in the festival? What means is available for people to use?
Well, we're building this from the ground up, so I would say reach out to me directly, right? You can hit me up. I'm on all social media, Music IQ, or you can reach out to us at Bites and Beats, PYTESANBEATS, right?
Yeah.
You can send us a message on social media. You can send us an email, because that's our email as well. So I think if anything, it's just reaching out, right? Like, I don't know what people's skill sets are or what they do. I'm still trying to figure this out from the point of, I've never actually been the CEO of a thing, or like, okay, well, this is just it. I've created many things, but all in all, this is the thing that, I'm taking the most ownership of.
Right.
Saying, like, it's time to build an infrastructure for something that can last, whether I'm a part of it or not.
Yeah, I think the only thing that a CEO really needs is the vision and the scruples to carry it through, right? The vision and to carry it through in a moralistically high road.
Team makes everything, right? The thing that you realize is that there are so many things that you can't do to the best of your ability, and so you find people who are the best at doing what they do, right?
Right.
None of this happens, like diversity or education. None of this stuff happens with us alone, right? It starts with a vision, and much like an RPG, you go on a quest, right? Can't go on an RPG quest but so much without having other characters.
Yeah, you gotta have a team. Have a team.
It's very important. So that's kind of where we are. And if people want to be a part of that vision and see the vision for what it is, I'm shocked. You know what I'm saying? And it makes me feel happy. So yeah, for whoever wants to be down, whoever wants to see this grow and keep doing what we're doing, listen, I'm with it. Come through.
I love it. Besides the festival, what plans do you have in the future? Are you performing at any cons? I know there's been a lot of stipulations that's going on with that. If cons are even starting and whatnot. I know I'm going to BlurredCon. I know I'd see you there. What other plans do you have in the future, just in general, I guess?
Well, I mean, for the future, man, it's just planning more events for Bites and Beats. There'll be some other things that I'll be I'll be working behind the scenes for as well. So I'll be doing those things as an artist. Due to COVID, I've been here, but I've been working on music, right? So it's also looking to start to figure out how we're going to start integrating back into this world as it's been changing, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
For me, that's a lot of the future. A lot of the future is just building infrastructure for everything that we want to see going forward. I'll still be getting on streams. I'll still be working on new events and new things to kind of put together for Bites and Beats. Working on learning more about that branding and how to get it across and how to grow the brand out to where we can touch more people and do more things, right?
Yeah.
So for me, that's what the future looks like, right? It looks like a little bit of new music. It looks like a little bit of everything and figuring it out. So that's where I'm at.
That's super dope. Are there any parting words that you want to share with everyone out there before we go? Is there anything, I don't know, a message you want to say, or just some positive words, or anything you want to say? Kind of like the Jesus and Miro thing where they go out with the whole thing over your head, What would be your parting words that you would want to share?
I guess if I had to say a thing, I'd probably start off and I simply say this, right? Like, if the last year and a half to 2 years hasn't taught you anything, right? I hope that it has. I hope that you realize how important life is. You know, like how important it is not always treated. Human beings are the only creatures on this planet, right, that have a sense of time to the point where we feel entitled to it, right? And you go around in life and we assume that we have tomorrow to do a thing, right? And we don't. We have today. And if you are so blessed to see tomorrow, then you have the opportunity to do the things that you couldn't do yesterday today, right? So plan for the future. That's great, right? But never forget the present. Never forget to work in the present and to make the places that you are the places that you want to be, right? Because people talk about what they want to see in this life all the time. But once again, actions and words are two different things. So if you want to see a change and you want to see something different, if you want to see people come up, if you want to see something grow or something become something other than what it is, don't wish for it, work for it, and be the change in this world that you want to see. So if I left you with anything, it's just to be the change. And that's it.
There you have it, dog.
Man, I appreciate you for coming through, man. I completely agree with your sentiments, EyeQ. Man, thank you for thank you for being on the show, man. It was a pleasure having you, you know what I'm saying, for dropping gems on us, man. Folks that we can listen to, ways that we can expand our knowledge and grow ourselves within, you know, music and gaming and the things that we love. Yeah, and going out, man. If you don't take risks, you can't create a future, man. Where's Monkey D. Luffy?
Take those risks.
Man, again, thank you for being on, EyeQ. Man, Demo, man, thanks for being here as always. You know, this is CoPlay Media, and we are out of here.
Hey.